If you have not had the magic of Donald Trump's lies over your eyes over the last 6 to 8 years, and you have followed this story even a little bit, then it should not surprise you in the slightest that Donald Trump is clearly, almost certainly implicated in the supposedly non-existent all of a sudden Epstein files. Trump and Epstein's friendship is well documented and goes back a long way. The amount of comments they've made about each other, in context, knowing what Epstein was up to behind the scenes, it's a bit sus to say the least. When you go back and you look at old court cases, like in 2016, where two women came forward suing Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, claiming that they raped them when they were 13 years old, and basically described exactly Epstein's sex trafficking process, which was not public at the time. So they would have had no way to know what Epstein was really doing and how he did it. And yet when they went to court and accused Epstein and Trump together, they described exactly what would later become public information about what Epstein was in fact doing behind the scenes. There are a lot of factors that came together long before this current fiasco that made it clear to me Trump was on the Lolita Express, all right? He got some massages. He did some stuff that he doesn't want us knowing about. But he buried these stories successfully. In fact, he weaponized what would otherwise be his biggest weakness, his association with Epstein, into his biggest strength, constantly using association with Epstein as an attack on the Democrats, using the idea of hidden Epstein files as an attack on the incumbent administration. Donald Trump, despite how fishy it looks, if you realize Epstein died in prison while Trump was president, Trump didn't want people recognizing who was the truly more suspicious party. So he constantly reminded us of Epstein. Epstein didn't kill himself, the Epstein files. He never let it go. He turned what could be his biggest weakness into a weapon. But now that he's in office, it's a weapon with no one to be used against, right? They promised a lot. They promised the world to their supporters. And there are a lot of promises they're already not able to follow through on. All they've really done is mass deport. And so with so few promises kept, and so many promises far from starting to be kept, this blatant announcement from Trump that there are no Epstein files and everyone who cares needs to fuck off and they're stupid is the most blatant disappointment any Trump supporter could have felt so far. They could all reason to themselves that Trump will fix the economy next year. Trump will bring the jobs back next year. All these things Trump's promised, in the next year or two, he'll get it done. It's only been a year. It's only been less than a year, they tell themselves. But this, Trump promised this, and now he is outright going back on it. And the way he's gone back on it makes him look super, super suspicious. We all went over that clip where Trump says that, he barely even knew Epstein, and maybe he would release the Epstein files, but maybe not, because there might be a lot of phony stuff in there that could ruin people's lives, which you don't want to do if there's phony stuff in there, he said. A little weird, little fishy. But this headline really caught my eye. And I feel this brings it all together and very clearly indicates that Trump is trying to bury this. The prosecutor that went against Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell was fired by Donald Trump just a couple days ago in the wake of all this drama over Trump refusing to release the Epstein files. I think that's interesting. I don't know. I think that's interesting, and America certainly seems to find it interesting because, like I said in my last segment on this topic, no one is dropping this. MAGA is pissed. They are locked in on this story, and they feel betrayed by Trump more than I've ever seen them angry at him before. I don't know if they'll ever forgive him. It seems likely they might. They have a large capacity for forgiveness when it comes to Trump. They grade him on a curve, as they love to say. but this is pretty far for them. They were excited about those Epstein files, and now they're blue-balled. But let's find out more about this prosecutor firing. It's quite fishy.
Maureen Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, has just been fired from her job as federal prosecutor in Manhattan, a position she's held for nearly a decade. Maureen Comey is known for prosecuting someone you might have heard of, that guy, Jeffrey Epstein, and someone else that you might have heard of, Ghislaine Maxwell, seen here with Jeffrey Epstein. According to NBC News, one source familiar with her termination said the reason given was Article 2 of the Constitution, which outlines the president's powers in the Constitution, including his ability to appoint federal officials. Her firing comes as Donald Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi face backlash from MAGA supporters for refusing to release more information about.
This is just blatant fascism, by the way, blatant authoritarianism. Trump using that unilateral power that for some reason Republicans decide to just hand over to him, where if Trump orders something, he gets what he wants. No delay.
About Epstein. This firing also comes as the Trump administration investigates Maureen's father, James Comey, and former CIA Director John Brennan, accusing them of lying to Congress during the probe into Trump's alleged 2016 Russia ties. Christy Greenberg served as a federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, where she worked with Maureen Comey, and she joins me now. First, just your reaction to the news, Christy.
Just discussed. Just a few weeks ago, I was in the Southern District of New York courtroom where Maureen Comey was giving her rebuttal address in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. I can tell you it was the best rebuttal jury.
I forgot, by the way, she's also prosecuting Diddy. This prosecutor that Trump fired is also prosecuting Diddy. Trump is literally on the side of the most notorious child predators and just predators out there right now. Like he is like anyone who has crossed Diddy or Epstein, Trump is after, it seems. I don't know. It's weird that these are Trump's friends and allies, Epstein and Diddy. I just think it's weird.
Address I've ever heard. It was incredible. She was incredible throughout that trial. Just such command of the courtroom. She is somebody who is really beloved in the Southern District of New York. She's been a supervisor of the violent and organized crime units where I worked with her, as well as the public corruption units. She has prosecuted many high-profile cases. She is truly a prosecutor's prosecutor, somebody that people look up to, and this has to not just hit me hard, but all of the people who've worked with her and know how great a prosecutor she is.
We're seeing a mass culling of all the adults in the room. The people who follow procedure, know their job, do their job, and take pride in their job and do it without a partisan bias. Those are the people that Trump is scanning for and firing so he can appoint sycophantic loyalists who will at least bend the knee and kiss the ring for a payout and some clout, if not out of sheer dedication to making Trump happy. So yeah, people who have a reputation for doing their job very well, that's probably what Trump is listening for, to be like, oh, I need to fire that person. They're a veteran in government who does their job very well. We got to get rid of them. They're going to be a hindrance to our government takeover.
She is. It has to hit them hard as well today.
I should note that I think, part of this Laura Loomer, who I can never quite find the right way to describe her on air, that's sort of fit for air, but she says, she said this back in May: why does James Comey's daughter still work for the DOJ? Why hasn't Blondie fired her? Blondie being the name she used for Pam Bondi. And here's Charlie Kirk sort of echoing similar sentiments to his audience. Take a listen.
Interesting.
We are your students in dismantling the deep state. And this cancer has been festering in this country for decades.
I don't know, if the deep state was prosecuting Diddy and Epstein, I might be pro deep state. Because the woman you're calling for the firing of is the person who went after Diddy and Epstein. I'm just saying.
So the boil is the intelligence community. The boil is James Comey is involved in all of this stuff. James Comey's daughter is the prosecutor on the Ghislaine Maxwell case. You think of all...
And the Diddy case. Yeah. And the Epstein case. She's literally like a legend in the world of prosecutors. She has prosecuted some of the biggest cases there is. That's not like uncommon at all. When there's a big deal prosecutor, they usually have a laundry list of cases where it's like, oh my God, that prosecutor did the O.J. Simpson case too? Damn. You know, like you hear these things all the time. I love how he's trying to claim some kind of conspiracy. Like, wait, this prosecutor has handled more than one notable case in her career? Whoa. There's a conspiracy going on, clearly.
All the prosecutors that could have been chosen in the federal government, Maureen Comey, I think that's her name, was chosen as the prosecutor on the Maxwell case. Come on.
I mean, what's the conspiracy theory there? Like the woman that actually prosecuted this woman and brought her to justice is the cover-up?
Right. I mean, we're truly in the idiocracy right now, because if you care about
Wait, that's crazy. We're going to be watching Idiocracy right after stream, and she says, we're just in Idiocracy right now. I love how that movie is slowly becoming like real political theory now. I'm so excited for us to watch it in Discord. It's a very good movie. I enjoy it immensely.
Prosecuting sex trafficking cases, which is what a number of these individuals say they care about. And that's why they're so obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein and holding his co-conspirators to account. That's exactly what Maureen Comey did. She was the lead prosecutor who held his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell to account. She is serving a prison sentence of 20 years. She was convicted at trial of 5 sex trafficking cases.
Ironically, everyone complains, even in MAGA, everyone complains that Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person in Epstein's circle that we know was involved that is actually currently seeing substantial prison time. None of the other, accused from the supposed hundreds of other victims, according to Trump's administration, are seeing any justice. Hundreds of victims, no other victimizers being pursued for justice. No one is going to be satisfied with that.
Counts. She is arguably the most preeminent sex trafficking prosecutor in the country right now. So when you ask why hasn't she been fired, that's why, because she gets results, because she is an excellent prosecutor.
She's a legend.
One thing here that I think is worth kind of taking a second on, and I don't think this is sort of the most pressing, and I think most people don't care about this, but I do, so give me 60 seconds on it. Article 2 of the Constitution does not allow the president to unilaterally get rid of the entire concept of the civil service. The civil service exists for a reason. It was brought about by both a combination of statutes passed by Congress and signed by presidents, as well as findings by the Supreme Court over a century.
Remember, by the way, Congress is typically meant to be the biggest check and balance to the executive. Congress is like the most direct way in which the people have representation in government. And because of that, Congress, you need official congressional approval, for instance, to declare actual legit long-term war, right? Because every state's or every district in every state has a vote. And every person that lives in that district can write letters and call their representative, their congressman, who has a vested interest in listening to their constituents in their district because they want to get reelected. And it's a very small local election. So, these things make a difference. Actually listening to your constituents makes a difference. So you represent them in Congress, and the president could be really out of touch or could absolutely not have the goals of the people in mind. And so a majority red or blue Congress means that a majority of the country wants a certain thing. Maybe no war, yes war. It lets you sort of specify and be a little more, what's the word for it? Be a little more precise in allowing people from different parts of the country to have a voice in government. Every district has a representative, and every state is made up of dozens and dozens and dozens of districts, right? Some are smaller than others, state-wise. But, the state that I grew up in had, like, God, I want to say 12, 13 districts. Or far more than that, maybe. But yeah, like, it is very problematic to see that this hard Republican Congress has handed that power over to the executive, to Trump. Like, there is no check and balance now. Congress cannot put their hand out and say, whoa, 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 Trump, you can't do that without our approval. And even if it was illegal, remember the Supreme Court, also dominated by Republicans loyal to Trump, have ruled that any illegal act Trump takes while in office is considered official and non-actionable. Trump is all-powerful and all-immune, at least on a legal level right now.
What he is asserting here is the president can fire anyone for any reason, anywhere in the government, at any time because of Article 2.
So I have not, it's been reported that apparently Maureen Comey got a letter, and in that letter, Article 2 is what is cited as the basis for his power to fire her. And this goes back to their whole theory of the unitary executive theory, right? That, as you said, that the president has these comprehensive control over the
This is what Project 2025 is based on, political theory-wise.
executive branch, its officers, including the power to remove them all. And unfortunately, it seems the Supreme Court sort of, is in agreement with this very expansive view of the executive authority. And we've seen that in a lot of recent Supreme Court cases where the court is kind of chipping away at these protections for civil service employees. It's troubling, especially when you look at a place like the Department of Justice in the Southern District of New York, where traditionally pre-Trump, it was.
Man, it really should be a wake-up call, or should have been a wake-up call to people in the first place, that there are just a ridiculous amount of photos of Epstein and Trump together. In every one, Trump and Epstein are wearing different outfits, by the way. So it's not like 5 different photos of Trump and Epstein at the same party. Like, these are all different photos of Trump and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, at different parties. And, like, Trump's hair is different, Epstein's hair is different over time. Like, it's a decade of friendship shown in photos.
Department of Justice in the Southern District of New York, where traditionally pre-Trump, it was, it did act independent of the executive. Not so much anymore, obviously.
All right, Christy Greenberg, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And that is the end of the conversation on the topic. But it is really problematic to me to see that we are having prosecutors be fired by the president in order to help cover up his alleged involvement in a child sex trafficking scheme. It is very problematic. Like, these things tend to be very... Criminal organizations like this have a lot of power. They've always had some amount of their fingers in the pocket of government. But the idea that someone potentially complicit in a large-scale child sex trafficking ring is the president of the country with near unlimited power, the very top of the totem pole, is that corrupt. It's a scary idea. It's a scary thought to know that most people in government right now are also fully loyal to that person. To be fair, Donald Trump is doing a good job of Streisand affecting this story into a lot of people's attention. In the past, they very successfully buried stories like this that don't make Trump look good, but in this case, it's not working. I mean, most notably, it's this story. This one that, here, David Pakman, Trump, and Epstein, 2016. Let me see if I can find that old episode of the David Pakman show where he talked about this.
Let's talk about Donald Trump and rape because it's Monday and seems like a good topic. We've been telling you about the Jane Doe who filed 3 federal complaints.
This all happened back in 2016, mind you, before any of the details of what Epstein did outside of just like trafficking and inappropriate acts of the minor were known. All we knew were charges. We didn't know any of the details of the island or the Lolita Express or his planes with massages or exactly how his sex trafficking ring operated or that there could be Epstein files. We knew none of these details. All we knew that he was that he was a sicko. They tell all the details that we would find out to be true later that were not public yet. I think that means something.
It's about Donald Trump, against Donald Trump, for alleged child rape in connection with a party that she attended involving not only Donald Trump, but also Jeffrey Epstein. And this allegedly happened back in 1994. The alleged victim was 13 years old at the time. And we have not learned that much about the victim until now. We now know that the accuser is Katie Johnson. The most recent federal filing includes 3 affidavits, one from Katie Johnson herself, previously known to us as Jane Doe, plus 2 more, an eyewitness named Tiffany Doe and also a Joan Doe, a classmate of Johnson's back from 1994. Now, Johnson's story has been the same this entire time throughout all of these court proceedings. She recalled being approached by Tiffany, who allegedly worked for Jeffrey Epstein at the time. Tiffany invited Katie Johnson, who was then an aspiring model, to an event in Epstein's home to get to know people and maybe get a modeling job. And throughout the summer of 1994, the lawsuit...
Especially young ladies watching my stream, and even older women, be very wary of offers like this. God, I feel like deep down, everybody is vain enough to wish that like their appearance could make them a living. Just looking the way they do could make them a living, you know, like everyone has that dream deep down and would take that opportunity if they got it. And it seems like offers to be a model are so common as bait to get young women involved in these schemes, these like trafficking rings. Because they're dealing with very young, naive people who are very easy to starstrike, I guess the term would be, right? And it's the same as like any... We hear a lot of stories about YouTubers doing this stuff, right? Like the Content House or the Nintendo Smash Bros. House, where like a bunch of the pro Smash players were bringing underage fans there who were like starstruck by their favorite Smash player, and then they were proceeding to be statutorily raped by said Smash players because they were minors and they were groomed, like, or taken advantage of at the least. Like, these relationships, these, like, the appeal that these powerful people have, gotta be careful. You know, like, the fact that someone is powerful and famous should not be, like, an endorsement of their character. But young kids don't know better.
Lawsuit alleges that Johnson endured, quote, savage sexual attacks by both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I have video testimony I'm going to play for you. I want to warn you, it is disturbing. You will notice that Johnson's voice has been altered and her face has been blurred. Notwithstanding that, this is disturbing. I am again giving you the opportunity to skip past this or to come back in about a minute and a half. Let's listen to Ms. Johnson here.
Second time that I saw Mr. Trump was same scenario. He was onlooking at an orgy, and Tiffany came over to me and said that Donald Trump had requested that I perform oral sex on him. He came in, and I was basically tied to a bed with pantyhose, and
Content warning, by the way. I haven't seen this before, but it seems like we're getting all the details here.
My knees were so tight it hurt to even like lay there, and I tried to say something. And it was like, you just shut up, shut up, bitch. This is. It was basically like he was being really, really rough, and I started to get scared, and he was basically like ripping my clothes off, and I was actually I got freaked out. just turned into this animal. It was like a completely different person. I couldn't do anything about it. And
Yeah. This story was successfully buried by Trump when it was in the news cycle. People forgot about this. This is from 2016. And we went years and years and years of Trump's associations with Epstein and this court case not even being mentioned. Like, people would list reasons why Trump is a problem, why Trump is bad, a bad person, and rarely would the very likely chance of him being a predator come up. And it's weird. You know, I feel like this story has stuck with me ever since I first heard it all the way back in the day, years and years ago, like 2018. And I've never forgotten it. I brought it up repeatedly, but Trump has successfully collectively erased it from the minds of most Americans, like he has the founding titan or something. And it's bizarre to me, but I'm so happy to see that just, like, there is some level of karma now. Like, there is some kind of closure, a full natural conclusion to this story. Because otherwise, it would just be all this being out there in the open for everyone to see, but just buried in disinterest, I guess, and Trump gets away with all of it. The fact that we're actually seeing a full come around is very nice. Could you link the interview? I'd like to share it with some people. I already closed it, but it was David Pakman covering it back in 2016. So what I looked up was David Pakman, Trump and Epstein 2016. I had to scroll a bit because he's done some more recent coverage, but there's a couple videos he did back then, but even he forgot about that story and didn't really mention it much until recently. I heard all of Trump's goons threatened her life till she dropped the charges. That is, in fact, what happened, Brian Rimlinger. And she wasn't the only doe in the case. She was one of two accusers, and both accusers were threatened into silence. And yet their stories corroborate directly with what we found out would be true publicly years and years later when it comes to Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Like, all the dots line up in a way that just couldn't be coincidence. But hey, what do I know? It's good to see MAGA finally putting their foot down with Trump on something, though. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below, whether you're watching live or after the fact when this video goes up on YouTube. Every like and comment, despite being free and taking only a second, forces YouTube's algorithm to push my stuff out to more people so that they end up seeing me and subscribing to me, and it really does help the channel, and it doesn't cost anything. So please consider going from lurker to liker. It means the world to me. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos. And if you want to see more from me on other platforms, follow my social medias linked down below. Particularly my fan Discord, as it's the main hub of my fan base and community. And nights like tonight, every week, I host either gaming events, call-in streams, or watch parties, or movie nights, I should say, in my Discord server. So we'll be hosting one right after stream tonight, and we're going to be watching Idiocracy, as that seemed to have the most popular support for us to watch. Very, very poignant movie to watch in these current times, if I do say so myself. So I hope you guys are interested, and I hope to see y'all there. And of course, finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here in the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.